In this video, we will apply what we learned about updating a variable within the context of the Just Java app. Once a variable is created, we can update its value using the assignment operator that we learned earlier when creating variables. The format is to have the variable name on the left, followed by the equal sign, and then the new value. The statement also ends with a semicolon as always. This line means that we're assigning the new value of 3 into the variable called quantity. Going back to our box analogy, int quantity equals 2 creates a new variable called quantity and puts the value 2 inside. When we say quantity equals 3, we set a new value of 3 inside the variable. We also take out the old value because the variable can only hold one value at a time. When we say quantity equals 4, then we put in a new value of 4 inside the variable. We also remove what used to be in there, which is the 3. Then when we say quantity equals 5, we assign the variable a new value. Note that we only need to specify the data type of the variable, which is integer in this case, once. On subsequent lines of code where we refer to the variable, we don't need to specify that data type. If we did write int again on this second line, then the computer would think we want to create another quantity variable. However, we're not allowed to create two variables with the same name in the same method. That would give an error. So when you declare a variable, that's when you specify the data type. When you update it, you don't need to specify the data type. Now I'm going to open up the main activity Java file and modify the increment method to take advantage of the ability to update variables. When the plus button is clicked, it will trigger this method, and I'm going to initialize the quantity variable to be 2. Then I'm going to add a new line of code that updates the quantity variable to 3. Then we display the latest quantity value to the screen. When we run it on our device, if I click on the plus button, then it updates to a quantity of 3. This is because the latest value in the quantity variable is 3 by the time we try to display it on the screen. How do we know that the app didn't just skip to setting the value to be 3? Well, we can use the debugging tool that we introduced earlier to check the value of the quantity variable at each line. Let's add a breakpoint in the first line of the increment method. Then I can run the app in debug mode. Okay, Android Studio says that the debugger has been connected. I can click on this debug tab to open the debug window. Now when I click on the plus button, it triggers the increment method and the breakpoint at line 25. At this point, the first line has been executed, so we've created a quantity variable with a value of 2. If we skip to the next line, then quantity equals 3 would have already been executed, and then we do see that the quantity variable has been updated to 3. At this point, it should display on the screen, and we can just hit resume to resume the app. And then you see that the screen has updated to the value of 3. I'd like to show you more examples of updating the quantity variable. Even though it doesn't make much sense from a functionality point of view of the app to have the plus button increase the number of coffees by more than 1 cup, from a code perspective, if you wanted to, you could add additional lines of code to update the variable several more times. Then run the app in debug mode again. If I click on the plus button, then the breakpoint will be triggered. If I step to the next line, then this first line has finished executing and we've created a quantity variable with initial value 2. If I go to the next line, then quantity updates to a value of 3. At the next step, quantity variable is updated to value of 4 and then 5. If I hit resume execution, then this screen will finally update to show the latest quantity value, which is 5. Now on your computer, make these changes to the increment method in the main activity file. Then use the debugger to step through and verify that the quantity variable is being updated as expected. Then repeat the above steps, but for the decrement method. Within that method, initialize the quantity variable to 2, and then update it so it goes down to 1 cup of coffee. When you run it on your device, the app should open and start with a quantity of 2. If you hit the minus button, then it changes down to a quantity of 1. If you hit the plus button, it changes to a quantity of 3. The quantity picker isn't working exactly like we want yet, but we're just learning concepts one at a time and slowly building up to the right functionality. For now, you can leave whatever behavior you currently have hooked up for the order button because that will eventually change. When you're done, check these boxes to continue.